4imprint.com.
For imprint, for certain.
The college football playoff semifinals are set, and we don't have to wait until March for a Final Four. We have Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, and Notre Dame all fighting for a chance to win a national championship. To talk more about this first game that we have, Penn State and Notre Dame, let's welcome in Tyler Donahue from Lions 24/7 and Drew Mentok from Irish Illustrated. And I want to start with the coaches. First, we just have to acknowledge that this matchup does guarantee that there will be a black head coach in the FBS National Championship for the first time ever, which is fantastic. But if we put that aside here, given the narrative surrounding both Marcus Freeman and James Franklin's tenures, I want to know what kind of pressure each of these guys are facing to win this football game and compete for a national title. So, Drew, start us off with maybe how Marcus Freeman is feeling.
Yeah, I mean, from a pressure perspective, Notre Dame obviously definitely wants to keep winning, but them getting over the hump against Georgia, that was their first major bowl victory since January 1st, 1994. So they did something that Notre Dame hadn't done in a long time. So I think maybe the pressure is lessened, but Notre Dame also wants to keep going. They are a slight favorite right now, and Marcus Freeman in the past, I mean, usually it's been as a much larger favorite, but he's sometimes fallen short in these games. So I think the pressure is really going to come from this team has to remain aggressive. They took a lot of chances and put a lot of Georgia in a lot of uncomfortable positions yesterday, and Marcus Freeman needs to show that he can't let up. He can't show any doubt in his team, and as the stage gets bigger and bigger, keep up that kind of really aggressive mentality.
Season 11 for James Franklin is his first with 11 wins in the regular season, but it featured a familiar loss to Ohio State. And these two playoff wins, although they've been SMU and Boise State. We're getting into blue blood territory right now, and this is where James Franklin's really going to feel that pressure to go out, win, and punch Penn State's tickets to its first national championship game in 38 years. Of course, this is their first playoff run, but I think when you view James Franklin's situation going up against Notre Dame, it's not just a marquee matchup in the Orange Bowl, but this is a perspective-altering opportunity for Penn State. Notre Dame's a team that they routinely recruit against. That's on a perennial basis. And, you know, on the other side, you've got more blue bloods waiting for you in Texas and Ohio State. And so Penn State, if they're able to win this matchup, beat a strong Notre Dame squad, not only does it change the narrative around James Franklin, it changes the way that Penn State brand is viewed, I think. That's in the homes of recruits. That's in other coaching staffs across the country, and probably most importantly, how they view themselves within this building. They've been locked in. That's been their mentality, and James Franklin's really hammered home the point of focusing on the task at hand. But I think even within that building, there's been a little bit of looking forward to see when that marquee matchup would arrive. No offense to SMU and Boise State, but Penn State was the favorite there. This is their first time as an underdog since they played Oregon in the Big Ten championship game and lost that. Only their third time as an underdog all season long. It happened against Ohio State. They lost both those last two games. If they lose this game, even with a couple playoff wins, there will still be that conversation of, can James Franklin beat an elite blue blood program? And if they don't beat Notre Dame, then that lingers on for another offseason.
Oh, and those off seasons have been very long when that lingers. We are also guaranteed a first-time national championship winning head coach with all four of these matchups. So some newness will come to the college football playoff this year. Let's talk about matchups, which is what we love to do here, starting with Penn State's offense versus this Notre Dame's defense. Tyler, this Irish defense does not allow much at all. So how does Drew Aller and this offense find enough to win this game?
Tremendous test, and I think if Drew Aller wants to take this team forward, he's got to look backward for his best weapons. It's Kaytron Allen, it's Nick Singleton. Those guys have emerged as the focal points of this offense during the postseason. They put up almost 300 rushing yards collectively as a team against Oregon in that Big Ten championship game loss. It felt like a breakout moment for the rush attack, and that has maintained through the last couple playoff matchups. Kaytron Allen has been like a man possessed. In the last three regular season matchups, he was at less than 70 total rushing yards, less than 3 yards per carry. In the playoffs now, he's over 300 rushing yards. In the postseason now, 3 games, over 300 rushing yards. He's averaging about 7.5 yards per carry. And collectively, when Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen touch the football in the postseason, which they have more than 80 times, they're averaging 8 yards per touch. So to me, Tyler Warren is always going to be the central focus of conversation for the opposing defensive coordinator. 90-plus catches. He's been unbelievable. 2 more touchdowns in the Fiesta Bowl. But what Penn State is doing right now has reset a lot of our expectations for this offense in Happy Valley. It's not so much what can Drew Aller do for this team. It's what can those running backs do to set up Drew Aller for success, and it has worked thus far. Big test against Notre Dame, but that's the story right now in Happy Valley. These 2 running backs who've accomplished a lot together through 3 years may be peaking at the perfect time for Penn State.
As viewers saw last night, Notre Dame defense really carries this team. I mean, they offense often does just enough, but defense is what's really got them to 12 straight wins and this far in the college football playoffs. They're led by one of the best passing defenses throughout the season under Al Golden. Xavier Watts, a 2-time consensus All-American. He's really improved this year. He's a better tackler, better in coverage. So that's really where Notre Dame's defense starts, is they really shut down the pass, and they lead the nation in turnovers forced with 31. A lot of those are interceptions. Up front, they've gotten pretty banged up throughout the year. Started in September when Jordan Patello and Boubacar Traore went down with season-ending knee injuries. Their best edge rushers. Since then, Riley Mills stepped up. He had seven and a half sacks from that moment, and then he got hurt against Indiana. Is now done. So you saw against Georgia, they had guys like R.J. Oben, who hadn't had a sack all year after having 14 and a half over the last 3 years at Duke, transferring into Notre Dame. He had his first sack of the year. It was a strip sack, set up Notre Dame's only offense's only touchdown drive of the game. So they need to keep finding guys to step up, despite the fact that a lot of their best edge rushers are going down. And kind of with Penn State specifically, there's a lot of offensive talent. They haven't quite seen players like that for as good as the defense is. Like, I mean, Tyler Warren's the best tight end. They haven't seen anyone close to him. It's definitely the best running back combo, and they've seen some really good passers, but they haven't seen somebody with Drew Aller's talent, and who does make a lot of big plays.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you get to game number 15 of the season. You're definitely not going to be full strength. Notre Dame is feeling that right now. If we look at the Notre Dame offense versus the Penn State defense, Drew, I could really ask you a very similar question. I mean, we have 2 top 10 defenses in this game. Neither team is going to allow much. So what's the key for this Irish offense to have some success?
Well, first, I don't think Notre Dame can win another game with Riley Leonard passing for less than 100 yards. So I really want to see, especially against a defense that I feel like is even more balanced in Penn State, that they can kind of get that passing game going, which then will kind of help get their run game going as well. Another key is Jeremiah Love banged up his knee again. We've seen how explosive he is, and even if Penn State, which has a top 10 ranked rush defense, is kind of keeping them from getting big plays, he can still break one off. And if he's not able to go like or even at full strength, that could be deficit. The other big thing, Notre Dame's had 8 different starters on the offensive line dating back to fall camp. So I really want to see if they can kind of have another Georgia-like performance where they only gave up 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss. And I know Penn State, I think they're top 4 in tackles for loss in the season. So if they can do that and kind of keep themselves from being behind the chains and in 3rd and long situations, I think they have a chance to put some points on the board and maybe score more than 1 touchdown.
On the surface and at first glance, I like this matchup for Penn State's defense against Notre Dame's offense. A lot of respect for what they can do on the ground. Love being banged up and maybe not being 100% ability on Thursday could make an impact. And I think that places more on the shoulders of Riley Leonard. You know, he hasn't thrown for 230 yards in a single game this season. He really relies upon his ability as a rusher, and so does Notre Dame, to be effective. We saw it in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, and I just witnessed Penn State hold Ashton Genty to a season-low 104 yards on 30 carries in the Fiesta Bowl. A week before that, we had Lamar Jackson comparisons for SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings. He finished in the negatives for rushing yards during a rough day in Beaver Stadium. So the track record lately speaks very highly of how Penn State will be able to fortify itself against Notre Dame's rush. And that's going to leave a lot to the Fighting Irish in terms of what can they do vertically through the air. And that has not been their forte, and I think it's a tough circumstance in the Orange Bowl in Game 15 for Notre Dame to figure that out against this Penn State defense who plays the ball really well downfield with their cornerbacks and safeties. And I think ultimately what we're going to be focusing on defensively this week is Abdul Carter. He was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. He got off to a hot start in these playoffs against SMU, hot start in the first quarter against Boise State, but he missed the next 3 quarters with an injury. They been working on his left shoulder, left arm, ultimately did not come back to the game. James Franklin showed some positivity, some optimism that Abdul Carter's available, but that's something we'll have to monitor all week, because if he can't play, you're taking arguably the best player off the field from this entire matchup, a guy that some people think could be the top defensive player off the board in the 2025 NFL Draft.
Yeah, I think James Franklin told ESPN, yeah, I saw him walking around. Well, that's great, but how about his shoulder? I hope he's walking around. But yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Thank you both so much for the great breakdowns. Keep it locked into Lions 24/7 for all things Penn State football and Irish Illustrated for the very latest on Notre Dame. So that's the first game of the semifinals on Thursday, but then there's Texas and Ohio State, and we could not wait to see how this one turns out. So we simmed it on the video game.